Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope everyone's summer is going very, very well. It is Erev Shabbos Parshat Eikev, and I wanted to share with you a thought. I believe I might have said this over in the past, but either way, it's a beautiful insight, a beautiful idea that the Meshech Chochmah has. I think it's very, very relevant as we start to gear up. We're only a few weeks away from Elul. I think it's an idea that's something to really keep in mind. We learn in this week's parsha, the pasuk in the beginning of the parsha, V'achalta v'savata v'rachta, teaches us that there is a mitzvah deoraisa to make birchas hamazon, to make a bracha after we eat the birchas hamazon. In fact, there are only two brachos in the entire corpus of brachos that we make that are brachos deoraisa. The first, of course, is birchas hamazon, and then we also learn out that when brachos tells us from the pasuk, Ki Shem Hashem Ekra Havu Godel Elokeinu, we have the mitzvah birchas haTorah. That before we learn Torah every single morning, we have to first recite birchas haTorah. You have two brachos deoraisa, birchas hamazon after we eat, and birchas haTorah before we engage in the process in the study of Talmud Torah. The Meshech Chochmah asks the following question: why is it you have only two brachos deoraisa? When it comes to birchas hamazon, we first eat, and after engaging in the Maisa, then we make the bracha. In contrast, when it comes to birchas haTorah, so we first make the bracha and then we engage in Talmud Torah. That's the question that the Meshech Chochmah asks. And he suggests the following idea, is that he says, these are both brachos of Shevach v'Hodat Hashem, brachos of thanksgiving. After we eat, we make a bracha of thank you, and Asher Bocha Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'Nosamanu Es Toraso, we give a bracha of thanks for the Torah Hashem. This is a very interesting difference, however, when it comes to a bracha on food versus when it comes to a bracha on spirituality, on the most sublime and spiritual thing a person can engage in Talmud Torah. It says, when a person, imagine after a long day, you're very, very hungry, starving, and you have in front of you a delectable table set up with delicious, delicious food. So right then and there, as you're about to dive in, you haven't eaten yet, but there's a tremendous sense of anticipation, of excitement. Finally, my hunger will be assuaged. There's a tremendous sense of hakaras hatov, a natural sense of hakaras hatov. Wow, this looks great. I can't wait to dive right in. There's a natural sense of hakaras hatov. After you've eaten, you've had your full, besavata. So instinctively, the food is less geschmack. It's not as exciting. And at that point specifically, when it's all over, when we're ready to just get off the table and move on to our next activity, says the Torah, stop. Take a moment, pause, do what is perhaps less than natural, and give hakaras hatov to Hashem for what He just gave you. The idea is that when it's less natural, when it's less instinctive to have appreciation, then the Torah says, stop, take a moment, and appreciate. Striking, but it's the exact opposite when it comes to Talmud Torah. And I think we can all on some level connect to this and bear this idea out, is that in the morning, before you've engaged in learning, someone says, ooh, now you have a 3-hour Seder. Oh, now you have to go to a shir. So perhaps before we engage in the process of Talmud Torah, we're less enthused. We're less excited. It's a struggle to go ahead and take that step. And therefore the Torah says, before you do so, appreciate, understand the phenomenally important mission and gift that you're given. The mission that you have to take and the gift that you're given. Stop, make a bracha, appreciate. Asher Bocha Banu Mikol Ha'amim. You see, after you've learned Torah, after you've heard that amazing shir, you've had that amazing seder, you finish Geshmak Alimud. So then there's a natural feeling of, wow, that was awesome. That was terrific. So then the Torah says we don't have to machayev you in a birchas hashevach because it's there naturally after the spiritual high of a great shir, of a great Talmud Torah experience. You have it there naturally. What's unnatural, what's less instinctual, what requires a little more effort is beforehand. So when it comes to these two brachos deoraisa, it's a striking and phenomenal concept that the Meshech Chochmah is telling us, is that the mission in life is hakaras hatov, is appreciation. Sometimes it comes natural, and sometimes the Torah has to be machayev that sense of hakaras hatov. And the idea is that when it comes to material matters, when it comes to physicality, gashmius, so usually we feel it before we experience. Once we've had it, as we anticipate an amazing material experience, a great meal. So we have this excitement, this energy, this appreciation. After it's over, there's somewhat of a letdown. Therefore, that's when you have to make that bracha. You have to say Birchas Hamazon. When it comes to matters of the spirit, Kedusha, we might not be as enthralled, as excited, as energized when we're about to engage in that activity. But when it's over, after a great davening, after a great shir, after a great seder, wow, we're on a phenomenal high. So therefore, once again, the Torah tells us, go against your instinct. Make the bracha first. Appreciate what you're about to do. And then you set the tone. Phenomenal chiddush. Beautiful idea. The mission is Hakaras HaTov. Something to live by every single day of our lives. Have a wonderful Shabbos.